Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, my name is Dave Scott. We're going to get into monster talk with the man with 7,339 podcasts. Bryan Bowden is here, and you're going to love the fact that he's trying to emulate me with his beard. Yeah, he is. He's doing a great job with it. But first, we got to say hello to each and every one of you guys because you guys are absolutely awesome. Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position, Emperor Penguin with a silver, Tim Mothman and his goatee sharing a bronze medal tonight, so thank you very much. Trucker Andrew, Race Fan, Bar Madison, how are you? Robert Lamoth, JSCO, Jaquetta, thank you all for coming on in. As we start off roll call here, Kurt M., nice to see you. And Mama Catherine, I love you, Mama Catherine. I hope you're having a great day. By the way, I may have to talk to you because Jessica Jones wants me to go down to Georgia and go investigating with her in November. So I would be in Georgia. I'm sure that there would be a nice home-cooked meal at your table for me. I'm pretty sure. We'll talk about it. We will. I promise you, because I'm not going down there without seeing you. Refuse to. Cody Dodson, how are you? Thanks for coming on in. As we continue on with our roll call, there's Necessary Dialogue. Thank you for joining us. Anil, thank you for coming on in. As roll call continues, there's Bryan Bowden. You know what? Bryan Bowden's going to be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Look, he's already practicing his signature behind the scenes. I can see it right now. All right, moving on down. Paramarv, thank you for joining us. Luscious Jules, Matthew Goodka, nice to see you both. Mickey G, welcome to SOR chat as we continue on with our roll call. Mel WD40 kicking off the super chat and lubing us up for tonight's show because the one thing Bryan demands, not asks for, demands, is that Mel lubes him up all over. So that way he can slip and slide through the show smoothly. Thank you, Mel, for the super chat. Thank you so much for the lube. We appreciate you. Country Life is here. Country Life will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Scrolling on down, Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. And as we continue on, excuse me, Flat Six, Undead Jed, how are you guys? Thanks for coming on in. And who is next here? Well, let's take a little peeky poo. It's River Dog. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. And Fap Nuts, what's happening, my friend? Ozzy, nice to have you here. Mark Eddy, thanks for coming on in. And let's see, Cool Arrow, D Cypher, number 27 in your program, starting on defense tonight from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Jansson, heading into the season, he's expected to be the best plus-minus player in the league this year. Eversore, how are you? Nice to have you here. Vanessa, Greg Ogles, welcome to SOR chat. and Jessica McCreary. Nice to see you. Jason Shredswell, thanks for coming on in. And Jonathan Sims, hello to you. Let's get the radio side going. Hi there, Skip to Malou. 1 second here. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we are hanging on out. I don't know why my camera's gone blurry, but we're going to make it work. There we go. As we are in roll call, waiting for Bryan Bowden to come on in to talk some monsters with us. As we say hello next to, well, who is it? Eternity Eternal, Stargazer, Amy, the gorgeous Vegas. Oh, I'm sorry I cut my hair. I'm sorry, Amy. I've disappointed her. Oh, that one hurts. That one hurts. I'm sorry. I'll let it grow. I will grow it again. I promise you. I know you liked it, the long hair. All right. The super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. If you're on YouTube, you can join our membership, which would be absolutely awesome. It's that time of the night for you to throw those horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have an amazing show coming up for you tonight. Our cryptid world, the master of disaster, Bryan Bowden, is here tonight to talk all things monsters, including pterodactyls. We'll tell you why here momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off. Josh Rutledge, the UFO wizard, will be here for the UFO report tonight as well. All right, let's get right to it. Now, normally I write a bio for these guys, but I'm not going to for Bryan tonight. And let me tell you why. There are very few people in this world that you can call up at any time, and literally they always pick up the phone. Whether it's in good times, whether it's in bad times, whether it's in UFO times, Bigfoot times, paranormal times, Bryan Bowden is that guy to me. He really is. And, you know, the funny part about it is I've never met the dude face to face, you know, but he's a copycat trying to grow a beard like me. You know, he has multiple podcasts that are moving and rolling at every minute of every waking hour. But this guy is somebody who is highly respected in the field of the paranormal and supernatural. He is somebody who looks at this for knowledge. He's an experiencer. He's a researcher. He's been on television shows. He is somebody who lives this every single day. But the one thing about Bryan is he's never lost his humble attitude regarding it. Why? Because he's seen, I'm just going to say it, the BS that goes on in this field. And he doesn't want anything to do with it. He just wants to enjoy the fact that he is a monster hunter. He's a monster experiencer, a UFO experiencer. And he wants to let the world know that it's okay to be like him. and to be like us and to talk about your experiences, to talk about the unknown sightings that you have had. And that's just the dude that he is. And it's always a good conversation when he gets here. Bryan Bowden, my good friend, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Dave. It's good to be here. Had to trim the beard, but I had that. I was telling you before, I had that like moonshiner beard for a while, and it was just too much. It was like worse than hockey season. Yeah, so it was good.
Well, you know what? I think your beard looks gorgeous.
I thank you very much.
I think your beard looks absolutely gorgeous. You just got back from a big first time Paracon
Yes,
somewhere in the central United States.
Missouri, actually, right over in Missouri.
Did you even know how to get there?
Yeah, I did. Took a long time. It was like a almost 21-hour trip. I broke it up in a couple of different trips. There are certain parts of Missouri you don't want to be in. It can be very dangerous. It's unfortunate. On the way there, after I stopped at a buddy's place. He owns a place called Bottle Cap in Nashville. It's like a bar restaurant. So I got something to eat. I figured, oh, it'll break up the trip. And it was like 7 hours after that I had to drive. They put me on the wrong roads. I wanted to go in through Tennessee and cut in through the South, but all these roads were shut down. So I'm driving with, I got New York plates still on my car. Not a good thing. And I'm driving I was in Kentucky, and the grass was not blue. It was gray. Really nice people. I'm driving this long road. No one else is on it. Sun setting. Nobody around. No gas stations. I mean, it was kind of lonely, and a little bit unnerving, because when you get on a major interstate, at least you'll have places to stop if you need a gas. And I bypassed one spot, and then I picked up the next gas station, made the left to go down the road, and it was like, no, this is how all these movies start. The Children of the Corn, I was like, turned around, got back on the highway, kept going. So I had to figure out where I was, and then eventually when I pulled over the side of the road by myself, total rural area, pitch black. I'm looking at my maps, and I was at the land between the lakes.
Oh, wow.
You know what? I know I investigate this stuff, but when you go to the land between the lakes, you have to have more than one person there. You need backup. And that's where we had that dogman creature going. A lot of dogman sightings in the land between the lakes. And previously, one of them unalived an entire family. Some were found in the cabin. The little girl was found up a tree. And the way they discovered she was there, one of the officers was there, and he kind of get dripped on. And then when he looked up, he saw it like 25, 30 feet in the air in the tree. It is a very unnerving place to be by yourself, about 11 o'clock at night. And you can understand why this cryptid lives in that area. Very secluded, no high traffic area whatsoever. Plentiful, hunting grounds for this to eat, not just human beings, but go after actually game. And you can also understand, because you don't have the interaction with human beings all the time, that's when it gets aggressive. It's like the Ohio grassman. So in Ohio, they have their own Bigfoot, the Ohio grassman, but it's in such a secluded area, and people don't travel there that often, that it's not used to the traffic, and it doesn't want the traffic. So it becomes very aggressive towards anyone that comes into the area. Same thing with the dogman in the land between the lakes. I think you had Jody Cook on recently. We got a video from Pat, and I believe his name's John. They took with a thermal of a female, a dog woman. It's on the North American Dogman Project's YouTube page and website. And it's clearly a female animal. And it looks like it's holding young, which initially it's very impressive. It's black and white FLIR. I prefer the color, for multiple reasons. because then you can get a better gauge on the heat signature. This was black and white or gray and whatever. It definitely looked like whatever it was holding it like a child around, like a mom would hold a baby around there, underneath their arm or their mammary glands, and I don't want to say, I don't know what words I can and cannot say because we are, you're syndicated. But it's a great shot. It's equivalent in many ways to the Patterson film of Patty, which I still believe. I don't believe all the other hype around it and all the stories coming out from it. I think people are trying to cash in on something. I believe it was just a female, and I've watched that video how many times? 1,000 plus. I believe it was a female with young in the film, and it was luring these guys away from her babies, and that's why it was kept looking back, like, come on, follow me, to keep the kids safe. But that's unnerving to be out there by itself. This is also why the Yeti is so aggressive towards locals, right? If you talk to people in the in those mountains where the Yeti makes its home, it goes after yaks like no problem. Sherpas know not to go there. It will go right at you. It's not going to just give you a standoff. It's going to go for you. And they do consume human flesh, so you got to be very careful out there with that. But
You were driving home and you had an interesting encounter after this Paracon that you were at.
well, yeah, give me 2 seconds, because when we got there at one of the, like, it was just for the people that started it and the special guests that were there, and Greg was there. I'm standing there with one of the ladies, Krista from Blondes and Booze, and another guy that I just met. He's a great guy. His name is Miguel Ramirez. He has a channel called Sasquatch Theory, which you got to get him on. He goes out, he does these documentary type of episodes. He's right on point. He's very new. He gave his first ever presentation at the conference, but we're standing there in this barn. We're at like a ranch, and it's lightning, and we heard very clear a dogman howl vocalization. And we just kind of like, I just looked, I'm like, that's a dogman. And we looked at everybody that heard it, us three heard it. It was distinct. Now, year previously, he went there to investigate it. He was invited there, and he did see a dogman on the property. This is Missouri area, and there's plentiful stuff. Again, you have water where they can, get that water. You have, game out there. Also, when we were after the conference, we went to another spot in Missouri that was a former asylum, and we had actually an Airbnb across the street, and I was just wiped out. I didn't want to investigate, so I'm hanging out with Krista, and it's a beautiful Airbnb. While I think Greg was there, Natalie Zimmerman, and Earl and Paul Anthony, and Rob, and they're investigating. And while we were there, distinct tree knock, like right behind us. I mean, I kid you not, maybe no more than 40, 50 yards. And right after that, there was a vocalization across more than 200 yards away from where this insane asylum area or this facility was. And it was like more like, it wasn't a full whoop. It was like a ooh, like an ooh. And I'm looking back, I'm like, wow. And a couple other people heard it. And the next day, some of them stayed a little bit longer in the area. I had to take off because I was going back to Florida. I had a long trip. And Natalie and Paul were investigating it, and they were filming some stuff. They actually found a fresh footprint, and it's big. And when I looked at it, I said, that's a dogman print, because it has the typical triangular print. It has it looks like 3 toes. But what was wonderful about it is you can see where the nail markings were. You know, when you see a bear and you see the bear's claw marking, that's
Yes.
what was there, and that thing was fresh. That print was where we had the tree knock behind us, right by our cabin or our Airbnb. So Dogman does tree knocks as well. It's not just Bigfoot that's whacking, the trees with other. Dogman will mimic them and do the same type of signaling, maybe as to pull them out. But like you said, I was coming back, and they took me through the dirty, dirty South. I was in Arkansas. I went into Mississippi. I saw a lot of places for the blues. I saw Muscle Shoals, which is great if you're a Southern rock person. But as I'm getting out of Alabama on the border, I forgot the road, into Georgia to go to my place in Atlanta where I had a hotel. I'm driving a 2-lane country road, deep, angles off of it. It's on a higher grade. If you can't pull off there, you have to wait for like a driveway or whatever. And we're talking about like a 10-foot drop, 30 to 40, degree angle. Like I can't stop. I have a car behind me. I'm going 60 miles an hour, and flying in front of me, which I never thought I'd ever see, was a pterodactyl. And just like all the images of it, it had at least a 15-foot wingspan, massive, and it was pointed at the end, and it kind of got bigger where the wings were. It had the front beak and the rear, like, I guess, ballast, to the creature. I was just like, I just saw a pterodactyl. Now, the problem is, me being the investigator, I want to jump out of the car. That would have caused a problem. Immediate accident in the dirty South. So I have a dashboard camera, and I'm going to be looking at that footage, and I have to backpedal on it. But one other person at the conference was mentioning something about seeing pterodactyls. And not that I don't believe them. I believe we have certain areas in the country that can open, like there's an energy vortex, and portals do open up to other timelines that are with where we are. And sometimes these things pop in and they pop out. But that was a pterodactyl.
What did it look like?
It was very dark in color. Had a little bit of it looked like it was a little bit more black in color on the top, and the bottom was a little bit more like, I want to say frog skinish. And also that color, like a darker green with some dots on it. It was super fast. It was just going, it was as fast as this speed. And I'm driving, I'm trying not to get off the road. And I kind of like followed it for a second, but then it went over, there was a tree area, and it went above that or whatever. And I lost it at that point. The video, if I do have it, will probably be 7 seconds when I caught it and whatever. And I'm going to be going through a ton of that later. It's not every day you see a pterodactyl. I hope not, at least. So yeah, it was kind of cool. I didn't see feathers. I've seen, I have bald eagles that were near my home in New York City. I've had bald eagles that rest across the canal from where I live in Florida. I've seen turkey vultures. This wingspan, if you've ever seen a turkey vulture, have you ever seen one of those? They stay on the side of the road with their arms out, and they do that, and that's how they stand. It looks like a thunderbird. They're massive, and they put their wings out and stay in the sun so the UV can get rid of all the dead carcass that sometimes infiltrates their feathers and their wings. So they use it as like a desanitizer. And I've seen it, and those wingspans are about 6 feet tall. This was double that. That's like a good 12 to 15 feet wingspan. Massive. And it was really quick. I mean, like, I wasn't paying attention. I changed the radio. I never would have seen it. And I'm like, I just saw a pterodactyl. I never thought I would see that. ever. I've heard the stories, but I've seen some video on it too, and I'm like, oh, that looks like it looks exactly like the videos if you've ever seen them.
I really want to believe in the whole pterodactyl thing, and I believe your story because I know you're not an exaggerator of
Yeah.
these types of encounters, but I often wonder in those fleeting moments where people see these pterodactyls, and you're the second person I know who has seen, pardon me, third person I know that have seen one. There's Jonathan Whitcomb out of Texas.
Okay.
Okay, he's studied the pterodactyls called the ropin for a long time. And then Javier from Cryptid 559 in California had a close encounter with one on a riverbank in California as well. So I do believe that you're having these encounters. But I mean, the pterodactyl died out millions of years ago.
Well,
So
what?
allegedly.
Right.
So it
Right.
makes me wonder, are there maybe portals opening up where these things are coming in and out of? Let's turn up the woo a little bit on that one.
I think so. I think so. In the Congo, I think there's certain animals that have survived somehow. I think Loch Ness is part of that prehistoric animal creatures, and you got Mokele Mbembo, in the Congo, which numerous people have seen. There's been some glimpses of it, but I think I really didn't. I'm like, I just saw a pterodactyl. I can't believe I saw it. It doesn't make sense. Kind of looked a little bit like the Flintstone. If you've ever watched the Flintstone cartoons or even the live action one, it looked exactly like that. But I do believe, like, we have instances around the globe where there are sometimes you'll get things that pop up, and I don't know why things are starting on my computer right now. You'll get things that just a vortex will appear, and this is where I think some of these ley lines come into play. This is where the vortexes open up. This is the energy that's there somehow opens up a portal, and things can come in and out, and that's what they do. I don't think that creature that was flying was aware that it was not in the same place it started at. I think it started at, there was a vortex, it went through, and another vortex. And I think when you have one portal open up, it begets a second portal. I think it's a positive, negative thing, like a balance. There's numerous examples of this. There's people flying planes and they go through electric fog, right? Which is interesting. That's another interesting subject. Electric fog. Like, okay, that's good. Where did it come from? So it's got to be a portal based thing. It has to be. That's the only other. I mean, unless somebody was flying a drone that looked like a pterodactyl.
Now, how far away were you from this?
I was sitting in my car, and this thing was I'm just trying to guesstimate. Probably like no more than 30 feet from my window. Like, it was on an angle. It was just at the top of my windshield. And I have a Santa Fe Hyundai product. It's a pretty big windshield, and it's a wide space. You can, literally, if you had to go person, you could sit 4 adults from where the driver's door is all the way across. So it's 3, 6, 9, it's about 12. It's a good distance in the width. And I just saw something come in very big. I looked for a split second and I watched it just go like this. And it wasn't that far, but it was probably tree height, the top of trees. It was
Bryan
interesting.
Bowden, the man with 4,444 podcasts running simultaneously. Our Cryptid World. We love Bryan around here. We're going to continue the monster talk when we return on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear.
Thank you.
Donald Dean, how you doing? Jeff Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you.
Yeah, that's great.
By the way, did you see that Seattle Mariners catcher?
No, I didn't.
Hit his 60th home run of the season last night.
Oh, wow. Really?
A catcher.
Yeah. Well, you got to hit home runs because your legs ain't going to make it around the bases. You've been bent too long.
Yeah. But 60 home runs for a catcher, that's incredible.
Crazy. Yeah, that's good. That's fantastic, actually. Holy cow.
I want to see how. I think the Mariners got, 3 games left?
Yeah.
So let's see. They play the Dodgers. Oh, I think we're getting ready for playoffs now.
Okay.
Regular season over. Yeah, regular season's over. And they start off their series against the LA Dodgers. Or no, they got a 3-game series against the Dodgers to close out the year. Pardon me. Boy, nothing like going into the playoffs having to play the Dodgers.
Yeah, seriously.
Right, but they are
some
playing.
Teams you just don't want to play. You know,
it'd be cool if he could hit 62.
That would be nice.
Dr. Bobs, how are you?
That would be really nice. I like that stuff. How about 63?
Woo poo. Benno, nice to have you here.
I was looking at you instead of the chat. Normally I monitor the chat. I apologize. I've been driving for a long time the last couple of days.
Brian, if you look at, you know what? I got to show you guys something. Hold on.
God, here we go. I can only imagine. What is he going to show?
Hold on, right there. Hold on.
It literally looks like an 80s porn star mixed with Don Fry.
Hold on a second here.
80s porn star. Yeah, driving, that's a long drive. A long, long drive. When you get into you're going to, go to Atlanta, be very careful because those police are everywhere. They're no joke. They're trying to get money.
Oh, gee.
No disrespect to the Lantans here. Atlantis. There was an Indianapolis 500 and they had something flying over the course a bunch of years ago, and it sure as heck looked like a Thunderbird. One of those mystical beasts that used to exist, which is interesting. Very interesting.
We got some time here. See, what I want you guys to do is I want you to study Brian's haircut. Okay. And then look at the inspiration here.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
The people's president.
Like if you look at the inspiration there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. There's Brian. There's Brian.
President.
And there's Kim.
He wears it better.
Right.
He's
right there. One more time. Look at that haircut. Look at Brian's haircut right here. Hold on. Let's zoom in there. Right there. Right there.
There it is.
Right there.
Dyed a different color.
Right there. Oh my God. It's beautiful.
There it is. I just don't have it tighter on the sides.
Well, it's close enough.
Beardless. Yes. I see the
Come on,
resemblance.
people, be like Mama Catherine and see the humor in that.
I'll tell you, it's really funny because my brother's former wife was Korean American, and
Brian, hold on. We
so
only got about 4
yeah,
seconds or 20 seconds left.
I nailed it.
I apologize. I'm still learning my new clock here.
That's fine. Do whatever you got to do.
Big thank you tonight to our lone super chatter, Mel WD40, hanging on out. Thank you, Mel, not only for the lube for Brian, but the super chat for us. You can join our membership on YouTube. Our Spaced Out Radio store is open on our website, so make sure you check it on out. And Kim Jong Bryan is next.
Kim Jong Bryan.
Here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us as we continue on with our cryptid world with the man, the myth, and the hairdo legend, Bryan Bowden, who is here with us. Yeah, you can find about 5,000 podcasts of his online at any time. So make sure you check it on out. Brian, how you doing? You were just talking right before the break regarding the pterodactyls.
Yeah, I was definitely talking about
dimensions. What do you think's going on?
I think a lot of this stuff, I think we have these pop-up areas that have high energy coming through it, be it a storm or something within the environment that creates cracks in our timelines. And that allows things to come in and go out. There's been numerous people, actually, you mentioned Jessica. I was talking to her about it. Her team went out and they broke up into two separate teams. They had FLIR on them at a distance and they walked into something. And then a few moments later, they walked out and they lost them on the FLIR. So they were walking into a portal. And she told me, you don't want to walk into a portal. If you find a portal in the woods, don't walk through it, but you can send a drone in it because there's a lot of people that have passed away after walking through portals. We've got
How do you know you're even walking into a portal?
They didn't know they were walking into a portal. That's the whole thing. But I can tell you what happens. Like when I believe Bigfoot can go flesh and blood to a different electronic form, like almost like orbs or that kind of form electrically, and then eventually interdimensionally. And when they open up a portal, they step in and they go wherever, Bigfoot land. And that's how they get out part of the way and in and out of different locations. If you open up a portal right here in my room, I can open up a portal in your office and just pop in. There was a game once called Portals. It's a great game where you have to figure out the entrance and the exit points to get around it. So that's not a difficult task to do. But sometimes when you're out in the woods looking for cryptids or Bigfoot, you'll get a certain feeling, like the energy will ramp up. It'll be like a storm's coming in and you're walking and the birds are singing, and then all of a sudden it gets real quiet and even the wind stops. Like it's dead quiet. And that does happen when Bigfoot or apex predators are in the area. But I've also heard of it and seen it when a Bigfoot has opened a portal to come back in, and that portal stays open for a bit before it starts to close in on itself and disappear. And you sometimes walk through that when it's kind of disintegrating and you're straddling two different areas at that point. So that's why I say, when I go out, I take a tri-field meter because it has great readings for multiple locations, multiple things. And another thing I always take with me is a Geiger counter, because when portals open up, sometimes when UFOs come into play, there is a radioactive signature that does seem to appear. And that could be a really good indication that something is in the area or a portal has just been opened or closed. Because it's ground radiation, we know it, but
Right.
this spikes at that point. So it's definitely a good indication. Yeah.
Here's my thing with portals, though, because I believe, and I'm curious where you stand on this. I believe a lot of these people that go missing have walked into different dimensions. And I think this is why somebody like David Politis notices these clusters, because there's energy and vortexes in certain areas that seems to build up, and this is where a lot of people seem to go missing. I mean, we don't know how to open a portal. Maybe they do with CERN, but for layman people out there, we don't know how to open a portal. It might be a natural phenomenon.
I've actually there's a video when I was doing stuff with Bronxville Paranormal Society. We had these ancient stone chambers at Pockmark, New York State, and they're not cold cellars, as Linda Zimmerman put in her book. No, it's not built by the Native Americans. In one specific stone chamber, 10 feet by 10 feet by 10 feet, the back is a giant rock and big stone. And if you look at it, it look like moss is on there, nothing's on. You can look as close as possible, but you put a black light on it or watch it through in night vision, you will see 4 ruin marks, carvings on it: fire, earth, air, water, on that stone. And we were in there, and one of the things I highly recommend also to take with you is a singing bowl or something that's a tone generator. And I started ramping up that whole little area with a singing bowl using a handheld FLIR, the inexpensive kind. And what happened on that film, it's on Bronxville Paranormal Society on their YouTube. You'll see it. It starts to get like a coloration of a blue color. And then it goes to purple and almost like a darkness. And it becomes a circle. And at one point, I think I'm opening a portal. I'm almost positive I did. And at one point, you get something that peeks in real quick and peeked out, and you'll hear me go, "Oh my God, something just peeked in." Now, the only other time I've ever seen the same results with a FLIR is on the Skinwalker Ranch episode where they bring a rabbi in who recites the prayer for a portal, and they go to Homestead 2. And the exact same FLIR coloration and everything comes into play, and something comes out of that portal. I think there's verbal things you can do to open up a portal. I think you can resonate at such a higher frequency, and the vibration opens up portals. I even said this before in this show numerous times. I think Stonehenge was used for 2 things. One, a healing center using sound, resonance, vibration, frequency. Okay. You get someone there and different sound, resonance, vibration, frequency. We know it gets rid of certain diseases. It's in the news right now. There's a thing with cancer. They're eliminating cancer through sound waves, specific frequencies. But on another thing, you can levitate things with sound. And if you can do what you're doing and you bounce enough sound off of these different stones, who's to say you're not creating a portal or a transport hub to go from point A, Stonehenge, to Avery, to on the other side of the world? Do you know how many there exist stories from around the globe where there's no way people should know each other, and you'll get people in the Asian continents describing what is clearly a Viking: the long beards, the horns, the fur pelts, coming in, weird strangers, and they come through a rock or something. So I think they are capable. People are capable of creating portals. We just lost that knowledge, because we don't do anything anymore. All people do is stare at their hand with a palm, phone, and they don't really research stuff. But you can do this too. I mean, I think when you guys go in the woods and you're doing the big fighting stuff, bring a singing bowl and see if you you ramp up enough energy and you start doing like an A, tone, see if something happens or something opens up. And if you start doing that and then you get a radiation spike, something's going on.
Very true.
I can't quantitatively, we can't get scientific with it just yet, but I've done it.
Well, let's talk about the missing people here for a minute. Because
I
I
have a
think this
theory
is a
on that
topic
too.
that intrigues almost everybody
Oh
into
yeah.
these subjects when people just vanish into thin air. And some of those people, they weren't people who were, looking to escape society. They weren't looking, they weren't people in trouble getting kidnapped. These are people who go for a walk, and then all of a sudden, let's say, Brian, you and I go for a walk in the forest, and all of a sudden I'm chatting with you, and boom, you're gone.
So yeah, I've trying to talk to Polites is like you'd have a better shot hitting the Pope, but I've seen him before and I see what he talks about. He has a lot more UFO based stuff that he's talking about. As not as much cryptids. And there is a possibility that something is cloaked, opens it up, pulls you out quickly, can do it, and then takes off. And then they drop you off someplace. But there's also a possibility, we don't talk about it too much, that a lot of these cryptids, Bigfoot, Dogman, Owlman, whatever it is, they have a taste for human flesh. And if they're able to create portals, go into something, come out of it, and they're able to hide themselves with an active camouflage, you can bet they're able to go open a window, grabs you, put you in, and you're gone. No one's ever seen the person disappear. They're walking, and when the moment's right and no one's really paying attention to, it's you, me, and Mel, and no one's paying attention to Mel. We're just focused on whatever. And at that moment, Mel goes missing, and that WD goes on the ground. Like, where'd Mel go? And a lot of times, these things, I think they're being taken by elements of the cryptid world that are big time consumers of human flesh. We are prey to a lot of animals on this planet, and probably to the unknown. It's a fact. It's happened before. So maybe they're taking them.
I think it's a combination of things, okay? Like, I do believe it's aliens. I do believe that it's probably some Bigfoot or Dogman, maybe Wendigos, Skinwalkers, some other weird creatures that may be out there. I think it's a combination. But, you hear these stories, Brian, and I've heard them over the years of hosting this show, where, let's say you and I are walking on a hike in the mountains. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, man, I'm just going to go behind that tree and take a whiz. Okay. And I'm waiting there on the path. You come back. I'm gone. But on my side, I'm still there.
But
but you're gone.
Right. That again. So there was I'm going to kind of paraphrase this because I don't remember the full details of it. But they were in New York State. We had people doing mountain rescue drills, I think, for the fire department and ski patrol and whatever. And I think the gentleman may have been Canadian, by the way. They came in for that training, and they were coming down the mountain, and a storm appeared out of nowhere. And all he had on him was his, snowsuit, the skis and whatever. The storm comes in. He says, there's a big storm. I'm going to come down. He comes down, never comes down. He disappears. So they send a search party. They send tons of people up the mountain. They're looking for him. Helicopters, the 9. The guy ends up in like California days later. He doesn't know where he is. Still has a ski outfit on. He's like, what the heck's going on? He called his wife, Collect, and like, I don't know where I am. I don't even know how I got here, but It's really hot. I have no money. It's all in the cabin. She's like, where have you been? People are looking for you. You disappeared from the mountain. He had no wallet on him. They have no trace of him traveling or in a train or anything like that. And you get in trouble when you do things like that. So he eventually they flew him back. They couldn't figure it out. The only thing you can do is, like I said, the force and the energy of an avalanche or wind or water or an earthquake. We don't know. Is that enough force, vibration, sound, and frequency to open a portal and manipulate your life with that? I think it is. You ever see the smoke rings
Right.
that people are catching? I met a lady at the conference. She goes, "Can I show you something without you thinking I'm crazy?" And I was like, "Lady, you know what I do? You want to know what crazy is?" And she was riding with her husband on a motorcycle. Forgot exactly where. I think it was in Missouri. They pulled over because they saw this weird thing. She has a smoke ring. Now, who made the smoke ring? Is the smoke ring a portal from some kind of craft they came in? Is it just the remnants of a craft that is using some kind of camouflage? There are stories of these smoke rings appearing and then slowly dissipating. Nobody knows, but they're appearing now. Anything's possible, especially when you get into, we're not even close to the quantum side of anything. And I studied physics in university, string theory. We're just starting with this quantum stuff. And, I didn't believe Bigfoot was anything but flesh and blood until it went from point A to point B in a split second. The only way you can do that is if you open a portal, step in, you come out where you want. It's part of the Einstein bridge, like a black hole, right? How we're not going to travel at super, 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 fast speeds. We're going to be able to take point A, point B, put it together and step in it like through a doorway. I think that's how a lot of these crafts are doing. So if we can do that, why can't portals just appear? Why can't certain things create them? Go in them, come out.
So what do you think the aliens want with those people that they're just grabbing? And why do they seem to grab in the same place?
Our old buddy and good friend Butch Witowski and I used to talk all the time privately. We were the only ones that ever talked about human mutilations and not the cattle. And we know that our government has a group that is flying craft around with extraterrestrial biological entities, which is what the Greys are, clones. And they go off the ranch every once in a while. And I think they like the taste of human flesh. And I think that's what's going on with some of these things. It's all about consumption. And I don't think, everybody has this image of like, what would you rather meet, a dogman or a Bigfoot? Well, right off the bat, a Bigfoot. But in the grand scheme of things, these aren't like, it's not like Harry and the Hendersons. It's a cute little thing. They're massive. I can't describe how like an oh my God moment when you're in the presence of something like this. It shouldn't be. It doesn't make sense. And this is what you're looking for. It's right there. And you get nervous because it's big. It's like seeing it, if you got a chance to see a tiger or a lion up close, their paws are ginormous. This is bigger than a lion or a tiger standing up, and it's a massive killing machine technically. So it's unnerving, and it just gets crazy when you anything is possible. I'm waiting for the unicorn sightings, to be brutally honest. I think all these creatures that have used to be on the map, the mermaids, the sirens, unicorns, Pegasus, dragons, I'm waiting for that stuff. But the problem we have in this world right now of the cryptid and the paranormal is the AI stuff. I can hook up a video to this show, and you can see a Bigfoot, and it's pretty good. It's really good. accept the audio. I've heard that in other animals. They mix the audio, and then they started doing a glitch thing to it. And certain things are off still with AI. But in the end of where we are probably no more than a year to 2 years away from not knowing if you're actually Dave Scott and you're not an AI image, computer generated Dave Scott.
I'm telling you right now that if anybody AIs me, please make me a little thinner.
Yeah,
You
seriously.
know, keep me as good looking as I am.
Yes,
But make me
you got to
a
grow
little-
your hair back because
I know.
it's too short. It's just got that nursing home vibe, dude. Love you to death like a brother, but yeah, it's
Wow.
trust me, it's it's too short. Live free, grow the hair out.
So I can have your Kim Jong-un haircut?
Yes, you can. Actually, I can ask my brother to give it to his kids, which are part, Caucasian and other part Korean. I'm like, they're sleeping. Go in the room and give them a Kim Jong Il.
Oh man.
Yeah.
3.5
My nephew has long hair.
we have to
You'd
break.
appreciate it. Say again?
3.5 minutes before we have to go to break at the top of the
Sure.
hour. Bryan Bowden is our guest tonight on Our Cryptid World. Bryan, sticking with missing people, what
Yeah.
about people who hear other people yelling and screaming?
Oh, that's good
Okay,
stuff.
now I'm not talking the Wendigo or skinwalkers here. What I'm saying is you and I go for a hike, you vanish, you're yelling out, "Hey Dave, where are you?" And I can't hear you. And then I walk up the trail calling Bryan, you're hearing me, but I can't hear you. And then like 30, 45 minutes later, you pop up on the trail as I'm coming down. I'm like, dude, where were you? And you're like, I was right behind you. I was yelling at you, Dave, I'm over here.
Again, we're going back into portal zones. You know, I've have you ever been with a bunch of people and you're seeing the UFO but nobody else is seeing it?
Yes.
Okay. So I believe that they can manipulate your consciousness enough to allow who they want to see it, and they have the ability to do that. I think we all actually have the ability, but we haven't mastered it yet. So you take off and you're in, I see you and I see what would be a replay of you, but you're really not there. You may have been abducted and you can't hear me. That's what I'm thinking it is. It's either a portal or an abduction. And most likely, if you're getting abducted and then you come back, that's very ET-esque. They need you for your DNA, your most likely your blood type, and to father some children with, in their process to regenerate their race because they're all sterile. And you probably went into something that was there. They grabbed you and then you disappear and then they put you back on top of the mountain. Matter of fact, what was really cool when I'm driving back, and the minute I got into the state of Florida from this trip, there was I wish I had it. I probably have it on the camera. A cloud formation that looked like Devil's Tower, the tree stump. And maybe it was, we see these things all the time. There's these portals could open up at any point in time. It depends on the energy that's being used. I think when you mentioned CERN, they're specifically trying to open up a certain gate of that portal. It's like, okay, we know we could do it, but we need the gate 666, or I'm just using the number. And they're trying to allow an opening for something that was banished to come in. That's what I think's going on.
I don't know if it's portals. I don't know if it's time skips, if it's the forest dwellers that are doing it. We do know it is happening, and that's the high strangeness of it all, my man.
Right. And then you also can't, discredit or discount the Fae that are here. And there's a lot more gnome and Fae sightings that have recently started to pop up.
Why
So
is
maybe it has to do with coronal
let's
mass
talk about the
ejections.
gnomes and fae when we come
Sure,
back, Brian. We don't talk about them enough. So let's go to break here at the top of the hour. Bryan Bowden is here. He is the man, the myth, and the paranormal legend, all wrapped into one. And every one of his thousands upon thousands of podcasts that he hosts each and every day. Our Cryptid World with Bryan continues in hour 2 next. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, we are clear. Hi, Tane. Welcome to SOR Chat. Amy Creer, welcome to Creel, that
I
is.
met her.
Welcome
I
to
met
SOR
Amy
Chat.
and her. Yeah, I met her. That's the
No
coolest thing about the conference. I was meeting people that follow me, and Mickey there and her son.
Cool.
Really wonderful people.
Good.
Yeah, and BMR and all these people. I've done a bunch of conferences, both as a speaker and as a visitor, and I will tell you, this was like none other.
Beautiful. That's
And
that's Bigfoot Rob in action right there.
yeah,
You know, I'm going to take a quick break, Brian. I'm going to put you in the
sure,
green room, and I'll be right back, okay?
you got it.
Be right back, everybody. All right, let's bring Bryan back. There he is. By the way, he recorded a podcast in between. Got that going while we were on break. Ghost Fixter, welcome to SOR Chat. And who else is here? Woo Poo, nice to see you.
My
And
pleasure, Polly.
Trucker Andrew, nice to have you back, buddy.
Good to be there, Trucker Andrew.
Trucker Andrew's a real deal, man. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's good. He comes into our chat. I appreciate everybody that comes in and subs, and we're organic, so it's taking us a little bit longer, but I rather have it organic than some people buying their stuff and whatever. It's not about
Tiger. How you doing?
Yeah.
And we got 25 seconds here. 1 second, Bryan.
No
Big thank you to Mel WD40 for our lone super chat tonight. Greatly appreciate your love. You can join our membership on our YouTube channel. And of course, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. And we're going to come back in 5 seconds.
Gotcha.
Here comes hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for joining us as we continue on with the great conversation with the man, the myth, and the paranormal legend, Bryan Bowden, hanging on out with us tonight. And we're having a great conversation on our cryptid world. I want to say hello to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Aurarian. Aurarian is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's bring in Bryan Bowden once again as we kick things off, doing our part to talk about the weird, strange things. I got to tell you, Bryan, I mentioned before the show that Jessica Jones, or during the beginning of the show, Jessica Jones had asked me to come down for an investigation looking for Dogman and Bigfoot in Georgia.
Right.
And one of our great listeners, probably the number one listener we have, Mama Catherine. I love her to death. And I said, Mama Catherine, if I come down to Georgia, got to meet up with you. And this is what she sends me. I have to read this. I normally do not read private text messages.
Yep.
She goes, let me know when you are coming. What foods do you not eat? I'm going to be cooking this weekend. Pies, cakes, cobblers, and cookies, barbecued ribs, pot roast, fried chicken, and baked ham, all kinds of vegetables and salads. How do you not get hungry on that? I'm reading that. My mouth is frothing. Because those homemade meals are just the best. They really are. Now I'm starving. It's late at night. I got to stop eating at night. Okay.
Yeah.
But now I'm starving. Thanks, Mama Catherine.
That's good. Home cooked food is, so rare these days. And pie, you said pie? Like,
yes.
Depending on what it is. I don't do the rhubarb stuff, but yeah.
Oh man.
Nothing like it.
Oh,
a good pie. Good food.
Makes me
like
want to
that.
go down there like right off the bat just so I can pig out. I'm gonna leave there and I'm gonna be like, I can't move.
When is this? When is this around?
Maybe November. Maybe mid-November. I don't know.
Come down. I'm not that far away.
Then you can come on over.
You can come on down and just fly out of Florida.
Make the drive, man. Make the drive.
I'll make the drive.
All right. Bryan, big time monsters that you love talking about. We're going to get into gnomes and fae because that's what you were getting into right before we went to break at the top of the hour. I mean, you said there's more people having these encounters. Now, most people think of gnomes as these little ceramic garden statues that you put around
they're
and make
not.
your garden look cute. But
Nope.
there's a reality to these.
There's a huge reality to it. The no Okay, so I don't know if you've ever had her on, Lynn Monet.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was involved. Did she talk to you about her experience with her sister's house in Louisiana?
I
Possibly.
don't remember.
Okay. Yeah, let's go Rangers. It's hockey season's upon us, folks. 'Tis the season. So I get a message from her, like a mutual friend said you can help. So I said, okay, what's going on? She tells me she's at her sister's house who passed away. She's cleaning it up with her son. There's something there that's kind of attacking them. So I said, okay, let me go take a look. I've never been there, so I do what I do. I used to call it remote viewing. It's a combination of remote viewing and abilities, enhanced abilities, psychic abilities, whatever you want to call it. And I describe it. I said, okay. And what I described is a gnome, and it looked very similar to a combination of a leprechaun would look, little person, and the creature that was the banker in the Hogwarts Harry Potter series. It was nasty looking, and it was cursing at her, and like it was doing everything to get her out of the house. And basically, that was his property. And I told her, I explained everything where his property goes. It's massive. And he did everything in his power to get Lynn's sister out and the other people out. He's grabs extra souls that have passed through to hold on to him. And this guy was kind of nasty. And I described everything about him, kind of like a goblin. I saw someone put up a goblin. It was not a good looking thing, but he would sit at the top of the stairs and with his head in the spindles, just biting her and cursing her. But he wouldn't go. I said, he's not going to go in the kitchen. There's something in the kitchen that bothered him. And I told her where it's coming up and down and how between the kitchen and the stairs, there's like a little alcove. And I said, this is what you're going to do. You go upstairs, and when you get to the top of the stairs, the room on the right that has no more, no covering on the floor. She's like, yes. And I said, give him milk and cookies there and tell him you'll be out as soon as you're finished. Well, everything I described in the home was spot on. She had no clue I did it. But long story, kind of short, it's a great story, goes on. That someone took this gnome rock, but it was like the last thing his parents gave him, and they put it in the house, and they took it from him, and he was pissed off, and that meant everything to him. And he's been there thousands, if not millions of years. That's his property. He was there before God created the light and then the heaven and the earth. So we're dealing with creatures that have been here, flesh and blood, as well as in almost like interdimensional or straddling two different areas since the beginning of time. At one point, if you go back in the history of gnomes and fairies, there was a relationship with humans, and it was pretty good. But then when certain religious people got involved, it got really bad, so they separated, and they've had a bad taste about us since that time. Lynn is actually showed it that humans are better, and she's done a really great job with it. And she calls him Bob now. And I met Bob. I saw Bob. I talked to Bob from West Palm Beach, Florida, when they were in Louisiana. But when I went to another conference at Gettysburg, she was there, Lynn, and Bob was literally hanging with her, and he was sitting with his kind of a cute thing. In a really weird way for something that's like 1,000 or million years old. He was sitting there, and it's like a little kid, and his feet were doing the windshield wiper thing, and I could see him. and Lynn can see them. And what was kind of cool is somebody came over when I met Lynn for the first time. And they said, "Oh, I saw a little boy over by your booth, and I was wondering if he was lost or not." They were seeing Bob, but they didn't know Bob as a gnome or a little person. And he's totally different character now. Character meaning he's changed his attitude. And now he's working to bridge the gap between humans and that elemental world, which is kind of interesting. But there are reports of other gnomes that don't look like Bob. They kind of look like some of the tribes in the Amazon. There's a certain look to them. They kind of keep mud on their face and they blend into the parts of trees that most people don't pay attention to near the root system. And there's a video of one of them walking. I mean, it's an incredible video. It surfaced recently. There's videos and reports of the brown fairy. Crypto Guru has talked about that a couple times, the brown fae. And they're woodland fairies, and they take care of certain aspects of the wood. There's fire fairies. I've seen those. Those are cool. When you make a campfire, invite them in, elementals, and they will appear. And you're not going to believe it. You're going to play tricks. Like right now, above one of my shoulders, that shoulder, it looks like two eyes. It gets a little bit creepy. But you're going to see something in the fire, and it's going to have two eyes and a nose and like where the head would be. Not as good as Kim Jong-un or Il or whatever, but you're going to see something that looks like a fairy. It's going to be there, and you're going to be like, "Oh my, I'm getting pareidolia because the flames are." I'm mesmerized by it. Nope, it is legit. But a lot of people are seeing them. I have a patch of grass in the back. And I sit in the back of my house all the time because when I lived in New York City, I had an apartment with no terrace. So if I wanted to get out, I have to go 7 stories down. So I spend most of my time out there, do my work on my computer or my phone. And that's where I want to be. Some grass has popped up, and it's smaller grass, a little bit more clovery, but tiny clover, and with these white flowers around it. And if you go back in history, those are called fairy rings. In the Netherlands, they will build an entire roadway around fairy spots. They thoroughly believe they're real. So if an entire country is like saying those are real and we're going to build a road around it instead of destroying it, there's got to be some weight to this, wouldn't you think?
I think there is. I used to have a deathly fear of gnomes. They just
Really?
creep me out. Absolutely creep me
They're
out.
not pretty, I'll tell you that.
And David Weatherly, pardon me.
Yep.
He called me up one day and he goes, "I need to talk to you about something." And I could tell he was being serious. I'm like, "Uh-oh, like what did I do?"
Okay, here we
Right?
go.
And he goes, "We need to talk about this fear of gnomes that you have." He asked me, "Why don't you like them?" I said, "I don't know. They just creep me out." And he goes, "Dave," "if you're going to get more and more into this field, you have to stop that." He goes, "They are relentless." He goes, they are major tricksters that if they feel you're doing them wrong and saying things wrong about them, they will get back at you with a little bit of petty revenge. And it could be something like stealing your car keys. It could be something like playing with your brakes on your cars or smashing a window or whatever it may be. It could be something, anything in order to get back at you.
He is 100% correct. And there are house fairies and house gnomes. Often you get it with little girls. They'll make a little fairy door. That's was the in thing. Fairies have come through those doors. It's almost like be careful what you say or wish for, because as we know, the term abracadabra, It is Aramaic for what I speak, I create. There's a reverse of that because as above, so below. What I speak, I destroy. And the intention of a fairy door. This is, remember, you've talked about this with numerous guests about intention. The intention of a fairy door will beget fairies coming through that door. That's why, like, when Rosemary came out, Ellen Golly, a friend of mine, she came out with her book on the Jinn, and she was autographing it for everybody that came up to buy it. She wrote, "Be careful what you wish for, because what you speak of may very well come true." So these things, if you're afraid of them, they want to know why you're afraid of them. And if you're afraid of them, usually someone who's afraid of something will end up in them getting hurt somehow. So they'll take proactive measures to make sure you don't do anything to hurt them. You understand the concept? That's what Weather was talking about to you. You know, but I had a great experience when I was in my apartment. This is at least 5 years ago. We had one bathroom in the apartment, living with a couple of women, females. You never get your chance. So whenever you get it, you take it. I'm in there. I'm doing my thing, thinking on the throne. There's a flash. Like, remember the old flash bulbs from cameras?
Mm-hmm.
And it's to my right. Now, where I am, toilet, sink, shower with tub. So I see the flash. I look to my right, and just probably level where the top of the tub would be. And I'm going to say it's at least 2 feet high, 24 inches high. I couldn't believe this. I saw something like a flap open up, and it was a triangle flap. It's like flap, flap, and the bottom one. There was blue around it, and it looked like electricity. And I saw something peek out like this to look like it was opening window.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at it. It looked at me, and it said, "Holy!" It was a split second, and then it went back in. It disappeared, and there was a flash again. And I'm like, "Okay." I did a lot of drugs in high school at one point. And I'm like, am I having a flashback? I've never seen that before. But then again, my apartment building has always been very active with the paranormal. So this is like, did that just open? Did that just happen? And I couldn't replicate it. I think I scared the hell out of it because I don't think it was expecting me to be sitting there or there in the same presence. I've seen that before. Every once in a blue moon, you'll hear stories about someone's walking in the woods, hiking, and then they'll come up upon a bear cub, but they don't have a mama. So you got to back away from that. Or you'll come up against a bear and you'll both be scared and you'll kind of like back up, or a Bigfoot or something else. I couldn't believe that. It was literally hovering above the ground. You can see. It was like a window open up. It was really weird to describe, but it was like if a tri-flap, and it opened and had a little bit dark, like a cooler blue, electric blue around it. And it seemed like a lightning type of thing for a split second. And this thing popped its head out and it looked like a little human being or person. No bigger than this, maybe 2 inches tall. And I was like, oh my God. The second time I had some kind of fairy or fae, I've showed it on this show numerous times. During the lockdown, and we went hiking in the woods. I said to my kid, my daughter, I'm going to take your picture, and she's a ham. And as a paranormal person, we get yelled at all the time. I don't take one picture. I take 3 pictures in a row, minimum. Boom, boom, boom. So there I am, boom, boom, boom. And I go and look at my camera, and I'm like, what the heck is glowing? I thought I caught a lightning bug on her hand. So I go and I download it to my camera. It's a fairy. You can see distinctly a skeletal creation, body some eyes and an antennae, and it's on her finger. Blown away by that. Not totally
I've
uninspected.
seen that photo that you've sent. It's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
And I'm like, but you also have to understand the place that it happened is up in upstate New York. I've had Bigfoot encounters there. I've had UFO encounters there. We've contacted people. There's another stone chamber and what seems to be very similar to Dennis Stone's up in American Stonehenge, the flat table, like where they did either carvings or sacrifices, because the strangest thing. And at the end of the day, after we got to the top of the mountain, something brushed by me and I felt the wind go by, but nobody was there. And so because of missing 411 and people just getting out of your view, I was the last person. My daughter was trying to like, oh no, I'm like, give me you. I held on to her right next to her, and I watched my other half, their mom, and my other daughter, and I'm like, everybody stay together and stay in the row. And I didn't take my eyes off them until we got to the bottom of that mountain. It was insane. And I was worried about that with the missing 411 because something went right past me, invisible. I didn't know what they would do. And I felt the breeze. You know, when you walk past somebody really quick, you can feel the breeze, or someone does that. That's exactly what took place. And I immediately, first thing is, dad mode comes in. Come here. No, stay with me. You can trip down the mountain. And it's paved, kind of. And I just kept everybody in a row. Go, 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 go. And I felt this weirdness around me. And I'm like, we got to get out of here now.
When it's time. That's one thing that I think, Brian, with 2 minutes to go,
Yeah.
that a lot of people don't understand is these cryptids, they will give you a sign that it is time for you to leave their area. When you're all of a sudden out there in the forest or in a park or something, and you let's say you see fairies, or you see a Bigfoot around, or hear a Bigfoot, when they want you to leave their territory, they will literally give you this telepathic message that is like, hey, it's time for you to leave my area.
Yeah.
I would appreciate if you left my area.
Oh yeah.
I go. You have to.
I've had it. Sometimes I'll get chills. You'll just know. It's like we took too much time. We got to go. And I never heard anything yet. That's the one thing I'd love to have, is that telepathic communication with them, the cryptids. That's like on my bucket list. Because people say that they have them and whatever, but I've been in spots and I've got stuff thrown at me, but when it starts getting bigger, they want you out. And if it gets aggressive initially, and I think they know who you are and you're a good person. I think they know what I am, as my constitution is. And I'm like, I'm not a threat to them. But when they have their young nearby, they're not going to let you. It doesn't matter who you are. Get out, and they'll let you know.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
That is very true.
100%.
That is very true.
It's crazy.
What we have experienced out at Flight 21 is we have experienced just like this. It's like a message that comes in your mind. Like it feels like it's your thought.
Yeah.
That is like, it's time for us to leave. It's time for us to go back to base camp. They don't want us here anymore. That's kind of what it feels like. I've never got, Ock the Sasquatch saying,
go home now.
Hey, human, time for you to leave my area.
Well, I bet you picked up on it.
Hold that thought. We're going to break. Sure. Final break with our good friend, Bryan Bowden, researcher, explorer. He's been on many television shows talking about Dogman, Bigfoot, ghosts, UFOs, aliens, and everything in between. We love him around here. We have him till the top of the hour on Spaced Out Radio. It's going to be a fun segment next, so stay tuned. on the mighty SOR.
Sure.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear.
Yeah. I just played around with you. We muted my mic.
It is warm in here, man. First day we've had to turn the furnace on.
You had to turn the furnace on because it's cold outside?
Yeah, it got down last night after the show. I woke up this morning and it was 35 degrees Fahrenheit.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not ready for minus temperatures.
Well,
It's
I mean,
too early.
you got to keep your piping at least warmer at that point, right?
Not yet.
Pipes.
No, it's only the outdoor pipes that you have to worry about. So you shut them down. Right?
Oh, okay. That's crazy. And then he was gone. New dealer, everybody. Good luck.
Yeah, winter right around the corner.
Oh,
Right around the corner again.
cabbage rolls and coffee time. Good.
You know, all these people who say, "Oh, I'm so excited for Halloween." So excited for Halloween. You know what we see on Halloween outside of costumes? Kids wearing masks in winter jackets.
Yeah. I was reminiscing about when I used to go get a Halloween costume, and it was made from literally it was like this hard plastic. They all looked the same. It was really scary. And then your costume was basically the equivalent of a kitchen garbage bag material with something printed on it, super flammable. And everybody's walking around with cigarettes and whatever it is. I mean, there was no safety features when I was growing up. So now these kids have animatronics, Some people, I love the fact they took it to another level. And some people use stilts and they really get inventive of it. We put a lot of stuff up. We always try to buy one new animatronic thing, a year, but it's just some of them are getting too expensive.
For Halloween night, if a kid comes up to you and says, Hey, Bryan, I listened to 734 of your 8,332 podcasts.
Just take the
How
whole
many
bowl.
extra treats do they get?
Just take the whole bowl.
Oh, nice.
Take it all. Let me tell you something. When I go to these conferences, I learned a long time ago. I don't really sell much. I have a book that's words and music. I'm working on something, and I have some t-shirts I put out. So, but the kids get dragged to these things because they're parents. So I had these squishy mellow thingies and some little spaced alien ducks, like squeaky ducks, but they look like aliens. They got the big alien eyes.
Yeah.
And some stickers, and the kids come up like, well, how much are those squishy things? I said, they're free. He's like, how much? I said, they're free. He goes, take one. I said, no, dude, take a handful. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. And he dug in and he goes, you know how much each one of these is? And I'm like, no, how much? He's like, each one's $1. And he had at least $35 worth of whatever in his opinion. You just give it away. It's fun.
I love it. Good job.
Yeah.
I remember in my area when I was a kid, when Halloween was always a stressful night because you'd get your costume and I remember one year I wanted to be a punk rocker, so I got the spray paint in my hair, concert shirt, right, and all of this, the parachute pants going. I think I was about 12, 13 years old. And my mom's like, put your winter jacket on. It's cold outside. I said, Mom, it'll ruin my concert, my costume. Nobody will know the difference. It's kind of like I had one of those bums when we had, God bless her, I love her to death. But
Yep.
I had one of those mums that would be like, just put the hot dog in between the bread.
Yeah.
Nobody will tell the difference. You'll never know.
You'll never know. Yeah, no, I got that too.
Oh, man.
The
Hold
last
on
time I went,
because we got about 20 seconds. Good night. How are you? Nice to see you. Who else am I missing here? Enrique, how are you? Thank you to our super chatters tonight. Pam, Brian, Bigfoot Rob, and Mel WD40. Very much appreciate the love and support, guys. Here we go. We're kicking off the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We greatly appreciate bringing the woo to you each and every night. Bryan Bowden, we have until the top of the hour here on the show for Our Cryptid World. But first, we want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Final time tonight. The man, the myth, Sir Bryan Bowden, hanging out with us. And we're going to get to some audience questions here momentarily. Sure. Bryan, thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate being asked on, and I don't take it for granted, and it's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
No, I thank you, and I wish I'm sorry. I'm. It's been a long week and a half for me, so I'm like kind of exhausted at this point. But yes.
All right, let's go to Jose here. Are these portals random, or are they more scheduled or often?
That's actually a great question, Jose. I think you get a combination of both. Just like how NASA has windows for launching rockets, there's certain variables that they call it the window. I think there are certain timed windows based on a lot of the stuff we get, like summer solstice, winter solstice. But then I think there are also some that are just whenever the energy builds up in that area. So, for example, I was in Tornado Alley country. That is a huge amount of energy. And these portals could be popping open left and right throughout that, that stretch of land. That depends on what the atmosphere is doing and when things take place. So it's kind of like, I think they're both.
All right, let's move on to a new question. Let's go to the unknown, who is asking, how would a prehistoric animal survive millions of years without being noticed? It's just weird.
Well, in the case of the one that's in the Congo, not many people have gone as far up the Congo, where this thing resides. There is tons of food there. There's tons of woods there. That being one. We have not explored even a fraction of the Earth's oceans and how deep they are. Only recently have they discovered there's an ocean within the ocean. That's right. You get to certain points, and then there's a different type of ocean below that. Based on saline. I proposed the theory, and I got people give me a hard time about it, but what if where the Loch Ness Monster is, and those areas where these sightings are, there is a canal, because it's roughly in the same parallel, and they go underneath the water deep into a channel or a canal, and they disappear, and there's tons of food, and there's sharks, and there whatever that's there, and they travel up, and they come in Lake Champlain or some other lakes, and they're using trenches and canals to just disappear. Just recently, I was talking to somebody about it. Off the coast of New England, there's a vessel that was pinging the ocean floor, and they discovered what looked like a 60-foot plus creature below their boat. very reminiscent using the sonar and the radar of a like a great white style shark. Could that have been the megalodon? Because there's a really good chance they do exist and they're making some sort of a comeback. You know? So I think some of these prehistoric animals have survived. You know, they have the coelacanth, they have the Tasmanian tiger.
I think the Tasmanian tiger will be the first one that they figure out is still around.
Yeah. I mean, there's been sightings in New Jersey of a black panther. And there was a black panther in New Jersey many, many, thousands plus years ago, reported. These creatures, if mother nature has its way, it will become a reality. There's the Chernobyl disaster. They are discovering a mold that is within that area where all that radiation comes, that eats the radiation. So in effect, gets rid of the radiations there. The wolves that are there, they become blue wolves. Those animals have adapted to the new environment and they're procreating. We're finding that some of these animals in history have a way to figure it out and continue the species down the line. And this is why I have a problem at this point in time now with trusting the science and trusting the historical record and all this stuff, because I think 99% of it is narrative and guesses at this point. If you study geological 101 class in university, you would realize that we're not in global warming. We're in something called an Earth cycle. They happen every 26,000 to 27,000 years, and the Earth changes and the axis changes, and there's like earthquakes and flooding and tsunamis and all this stuff. And the part that's cold becomes warmer, and the part that's warm becomes cold. Life will find a way, as Bino said. Life finds a way. So you never know. It is weird, but
all right. Let's go to another question here, my man. Let's go. And up next will be Paul here.
Sure.
We opened something up with the Philadelphia experiment. Any chance it's still open? Creatures can come through?
I don't think so. That was a piss poor example. They had an idea of being able to cloak a ship, but in the process of what they were playing with, when the ship they went a little bit too far, not knowing what they were playing with. And there are reports of soldiers being embedded in the actual metal of the ship on the Philadelphia experiment when it's come back. So it's the same thing that happened when they ramped up the first collider, which was in Illinois. They ramped it up and something crazy happened. They shut it down immediately. But that's also when we also had something called the Mandela effect created, same time. And I think they're playing around with stuff with CERN and they don't know what they're doing. And it's dangerous. And here's a kicker on top of that. Every university in the North America, even the smallest ones, have colliders of their own on a smaller level. And if you correlate where those colliders are and black-eyed kid sightings, it'll correlate.
Really?
I think they're creating rips in time space that some of these creatures come in and they go out of, which is kind of interesting.
Matthew is asking, are puckwudgies gnomes?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, some people will say, yeah, it's a gnome, but a puckwudgie is a bit different. But it could be, I don't know. There's no like grand book of classifications. Sometimes people, the closest book of classifications would be the original Dungeons and Dragons stuff. Someone just went out, researched it, and put it together. That and Grimm's. But I don't think so. I think they're two separate things.
Up next, we have a question coming from Polly. Would you say we could all sense paranormal things, or are there people more susceptible to it, and why?
Okay. Everybody has this ability to be psychic and have all these abilities. When God created man meaning men and women, in his image, and this higher being, whatever we call God, some people do, some people don't. They gave you certain abilities that he has. And one of which is your pineal gland, your third eye. Hence why I call my show Third Eye Live. It there are certain elements in there and crystallization that when it vibrates, it secretes certain enzymes and something called DMT as well. And that is your vehicle to connect to source. So this third eye also helps you with all the psychic stuff. So your first gift is also not only just seeing with your third eye and hearing and touching and tasting and smelling. And they're doing experiments right now with kids. They blindfold them, leaving this open, and kids are reading books as if they had no blindfold. You don't need your eyes to see all the time. You can see through your third eye, your consciousness, and that connection. But that also begets you, if the more you exercise it, the more you decalcify it by stop using fluoride, eat more things with iodine. It's very good for your third eye decalcification, your thyroid, especially ladies, fixing it. And you start meditating and start at 5 minutes, go to 10, 15, so on. You will start to hemisync your both sides of the brain. And then you'll be able to do paranormal based things. You're vibrating at a higher frequency and you'll be picking up all this stuff. Women are so Polly, because you're female, you usually use both sides of your brain more so than man does. So you should be automatically be able to do that. Sense the paranormal and things that are around you. Because you're hemi-syncing your brain and you're more open to that stuff.
Follow-up question from
Oh,
Polly. We can't see the paranormal cause our brain was not trained for it. Or are those realms where you need a specific frequency and intention to connect?
yeah. Sometimes you don't need to see with your eyes, have to see things. And you work on your senses. Like the first ability that everybody has is that empathic ability. Like, ooh, that person, you pick up on their frequency, what they're vibrating at. And they're having a bad day, their emotional status. That is where you first start seeing and feeling things. Some people will get the emotion. Like sometimes if I walk down the street and I'm not blocking or put up my little bubble around me, I will pick up on everything going on, good, bad, and the ugly. And some people in this world, they are beyond lonely. And you feel it. You feel it as if you were the same person as they are. You feel when people are happy, your body will naturally react to it because it's picking up on these wavelengths and things are being emitted, from it, broadcasts. Just an article about human brains and brain waves are being transmitted at certain levels now. And we just automatically pick up on it wirelessly. We can communicate with people, brain to brain, and that gets back into the emotional state. So you don't need to see all the time. Like have you ever slept? This happens to me every once in a while. And I know someone's standing by my bed. I'm not looking at them. I just pick it up. And 99% of the time it's my youngest. And there's certain times where I would feel that and something says to me in my mind's eye, you don't want to look at what's there. So I don't open my eyes. That's happened very infrequently, but that's unnerving when you get that. Like you really don't want to look at what's there.
Very unnerving, my man.
It's super unnerving.
Yeah, it's not a comfortable feeling.
No, it's not.
Put Rob here.
Oh,
Bryan, do you believe they cloned the thylacine as reported in some science periodicals?
oh my God, we have to use SAT words, Rob. I don't. Okay, I don't know yet. Like I said before, I really don't know if I want to trust the scientific record and science, because there's too many other things involved in what they're publishing and what they want to come to light. And I don't know if you should believe everything you read in there, because if you trusted certain things, I don't want to get into it because I don't want to get you in trouble. So no, I don't know. I'd have to read deeper than some of the scientific periodicals. I actually have to ask people in the know that are working directly with stuff like this.
But over the last 20 years, there have been a number of films caught with thylacine in it, whether it's from security cameras, trail cameras, even Ring doorbells in Australia.
Yeah, no, here's a good thing too. I don't know if people are going to go out and ghost hunt and do cryptid stuff and whatever, and you're looking for all these different, like, I need this camera and this camera. Do yourself a favor. Start taking the old cameras you had before all the smartphones with you and the digital. I use them on investigations. They pick up stuff that these things are programmed not to pick up, because they use a whole different system. It's not all computers. They can manipulate this to show you things or take things away and not allow you to see in certain spectrums. And those flip phones, remember the old flip phones or whatever it is, the portable ones? It's a lower res and it's not high definition, but you're going to catch things you wouldn't catch on that camera. You can put them both up and film the same thing, and I guarantee you one of them is not going to catch as much as the older model is going to be better. It's different technology.
Let's move to another question. Let's go back
Sure.
to Polly here.
Oh,
Is
okay.
there any theory or evidence on Bigfoot being created as a human experiment rather than the alien theory?
No, I don't believe that the Bigfoot was created by the aliens, and I don't believe they were created by human beings. What I do believe is Bigfoot is a species that has always existed and has been here on Earth, with other, some people call them evil animals that have plowed through the world seeking the ruin of souls. It's in the Archangel Michael prayer. These beings have been coming back and forth and going into dimensional since the beginning. Now, there are some extraterrestrial races that look like Bigfoot, look like Wookiees, look like Gugways, all of that stuff. And the extraterrestrials will abduct anything that they come across, including Bigfoots, and they travel the same interdimensional highway. So they're like, oh, why is he doing it? What is that? Take it. Let's go. And they're doing the same type of experiments. So I don't believe aliens have created them personally. There is something to be said about, were there alien races involved in our development over a period of millennia? That's something different. The Anunnaki, and it gets into some really, really weird stuff. But yeah, I don't think Bigfoot was created. I don't think Dogma was created. I think the government has a bunch of them on ice, and they've been studying them because what they can do for the military purposes. And then you get these things like super soldiers. They're killing machines. You can absolutely 100% control a polar bear without question. That would be the perfect killing machine for any government.
I don't know. My ex-mother-in-law would be a good choice. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I'm not gonna complain. Yeah.
We got about 5 minutes to go before we have to break at the top of the hour. Bryan Bowden is our guest tonight on Our Cryptid World. And let me see if there's any other questions here.
Sure. Not a problem.
go to Paramarv.
Yeah,
Any
no,
theories on what the Fresno night crawlers might be? Before you answer that, explain to our audience who may not know what the Fresno night crawlers are.
so the Fresno night crawlers, picture a pair of pants just walking by itself. It's literally like two legs and just a top piece, and it just walks, but it's usually in white. So it's like a giant marshmallow walking. There's no real arms to it or a head, nothing like that that I'm aware of. And it's been seen in Fresno. So that is just a bizarre creature. But other people have been seeing it. Now, again, remember what I said before, be careful what comes from your mouth and what you speak, because sometimes you can create these beings into existence if enough people do it. But why would they create the Fresno Nightcrawler? I don't know. Could it be interdimensional? Could it come through a portal? Is it an extraterrestrial? Is it an inner Earth being? You know, they have in videos now of all the spiders up in Antarctica that are ripping soldiers to shred, which kind of, that's if you took one of these big giant white spiders and you just cut off two legs, kind of looks a little bit like it. Is it an extension of that? But I don't know what they may be. I was thinking more extraterrestrial. And speaking of aliens and extraterrestrial, I remember a couple of years ago, the Bayside Mall incident near Miami. Well, someone was testifying on it, and it's all under, they can't talk about it because there's a government secrecy attached to it. Why? If it didn't happen and it was just some kids with fireworks, because you can clearly see, if you look at some of the early videos, you'll see a 10-foot plus creature there.
It was weird.
It was
the only thing I don't trust about that case, and I want that
Mhm.
one to be real. There's some things to just, you don't bring in like 40 cop cars for nothing.
There were at least 2 police officers in every car, possibly 4. We're talking hundreds of police. You don't turn the power grid off on blocks and blocks of service. You don't close down an entire airport for some kids playing with fireworks. But you do it if you have an extraterrestrial craft popping up. You do it. I mean, there's a lot of weird things. If you take the coordinates of that mall and flip it, invert it, it takes you to Antarctica. And we were having a lot of coronal mass ejections, and it very well could have screwed up whatever these beings were that were traveling actually to Antarctica. They could have been hit by something from the sun. It screwed up their navigation and flipped it, and they went shopping at the mall. They went to the Gap or whatever, or the Spaced Out Radio Fan Club store, coming to your latest malls this year, 2026. Get your Dave Scott doll.
Time for one more question here, okay?
Sure.
We got about 1 minute left. Let's go to Jose here.
Okay. No way, Jose.
Do you think that the Bigfoot once lived in the dinosaur era but have survived into present day, particularly due to their lifespans?
I would say yes to it. I think they've been here around the dinosaurs, and they just keep coming and going. They procreate and then they come and go. The way I kind of feel it, male and female meet somehow. They connect. It's not like a dating app. They procreate. They carry the clan, and they keep procreating. The offspring get to a certain age, and then they're set off by themselves. You got to go. You stay here, and that's both male and female, and that's how they learn how to continue on the species. And then they'll meet another female. They'll be together, they'll procreate, and so on and so forth. So I would assume that if they're here now and they've been here, I mean, there's legends that go back thousands of years. Why not through the dinosaurs?
Bryan, thank you for another great edition of Our Cryptid World. You can go get some sleep. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, we have Swamp Dweller. Then the Wizard brings us the UFO report.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much for a great show.
Very
I
welcome.
know you're tired, but what a great effort by you tonight.
I appreciate it. And everybody have a blessed day. Like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Spaced Out Radio and the haircut.
That's
I
still
think Dave should dye. I think he should dye it that color. Come over in November to Georgia, then come down to my place, get that tan going, that Kim Jong Il tan.
dude. It'll be a quick in and out. If I do go, it'll be a quick in and out. But
No,
we'll talk soon,
something-
okay, buddy?
We can play with some good toys. Come on, come down.
Take care.
Lots of toys. Bye.
Good night. All right, I'll be right back, and then I'll bring in the wizard. All right, let's bring in the wizard. See how he's doing.
Hey.
What's happening, buddy?
Hey, pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Right on. Oh, there's little Jimmy Goodall right there. Uncle Jimbo. Can't wait for Vegas. He's coming to party with us, Josh.
Yep. You got that figured out yet? Dates, anything?
May 21st to 25th.
All right. I'll put it on the calendar.
Make sure the beard of knowledge is there too.
I'll try.
Hey, you know what you need to do? Honestly, you need to ride with Jim out to Area 51. The stories are freaking incredible.
Jim can ride with me because he was complaining about the roads in his vet, and I don't want to. Yes. I don't want to go through all that.
We'll make sure of that we will. We got 15 seconds. Thank you, Pam, Brian, Rob, and Mel for the super chats. Swamp Dweller is just over 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Okay. We'll mute Josh here. Here we go. Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott, and we appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to say hello to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Aurarian. Aurarian is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. I'm a city boy from a city where the most significant wildlife you would find are probably squirrels. When I left the army and moved to Tacoma in an apartment near the community college, I was amazed at how many deer I saw weaving around the front yards and along the green belts around the town. One night in the middle of summer, around 2 a.m., because that's where the bars close, I was walking home, slightly drunk but aware of my surroundings. That was a safe part of town back then, but there was no reason to take any chances. I saw 3 coyotes rush onto the sidewalk in front of me, and then they all stopped. All 3 of them just stared at me for a moment and then looked behind them into the narrow tree line, acting kind of nervous. I've never seen more than 1 coyote at a time before, and certainly not in the suburbs. Being the big, arrogant drunk I am, I simply clapped my hands loudly a few times and quickly said, "Go on, get out of here." They did not run back into the tree line away from me. They trotted towards me initially, then crossed the street to avoid me, then sprinted past me as fast as they could. So now, I'm kind of wondering, what is with the narrow stretch of trees? What scared the coyotes away so quickly that they just ran past me in the street? I was a bit more curious than spooked. So when I got near the spot that they ran away from, I turned on my phone flashlight and started poking around. That's when I saw, or at least I thought I saw, a kid wearing a parka and boots running around, waving a stick around in each hand. In the middle of the night, in the middle of summer, all alone. It was like a kid around preschool age just frolicking around carefree. The kid very briefly glanced at me and then effortlessly disappeared into some blackberry bushes, which is no easy feat for a grown man with a machete, let alone a kid. I've never felt so weird in my life. I know I was slightly drunk and no one will believe me, but I called the police non-emergency number anyway. I reported that 3 coyotes were acting weird to let animal control know. And then I lost my nerve before mentioning the ghostly child running around. My eyes had barely left the place from where that demon kid thing had disappeared from, but I watched him disappear right in front of my eyes. I don't really know how to explain this experience other than it had to have been some sort of ghost.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another crazy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell, and you get thousands of stories just like that for free. Time for the wizard. Still love your theme song, my man. Still love it.
Yep. Sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I speak at Phoenix MUFON coming up in a couple weeks, I should play that as I take the stage.
I could totally send you a copy of that. I will totally send you a copy of that.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's
Of course.
get it out there.
Of course.
Oh.
What's happening in the UFO world, my friend?
There's a couple things going on, but other than that, it's a little scarce. But the two things that are going on are pretty big in my opinion. So, the first that I've got for everybody tonight is more mystery drones. This time in Denmark. This was about 12 hours ago in Denmark. They actually had to shut down the Aalborg airport. Drones were also reported over southern cities of Esbjerg. I'm probably saying all these wrong. And Sonderborg. So doesn't Sonder mean sleep? I think so. Anyways,
no idea.
Sleepy Town? I don't know. Anyways, as well as over the fighter wing Skirrestrup Air Base. I'm doing the best I can here. I don't, I need more, I don't know, beer, Danishes, something. I don't know. The Prime Minister of Denmark recently addressed the nation and basically said they're not really sure where the drones are coming from. They encouraged like local law enforcement to, shoot them down if it's safe to do so. They are of the opinion that, like when we talked about the last incursion, when we talked earlier this week, that they're just attacks from Russia for espionage. But, UFO Twitter and Reddit is all abuzz that their behavior is very similar to the drones that we're seeing, towards the end of the year last year. So it's yet to be determined, I think, what we're dealing with here, or, what I guess Denmark and others are dealing with here. But I saw some accounts on Twitter, saying that just like last time where it started in one location and spread to other countries and eventually to the US, that it's going to do the same thing again. So I guess if that happens, maybe that indicates it's not Russia, or it's not all Russia. Maybe, maybe there are some, some that are Russian drones and others that are not. I don't know. It's but it's a very interesting. Again, if you think about it, where we are in the year is also really close to where we were in the year last year when the drone stuff started happening in the Northeast and over in the UK and stuff. So, is there something about the time of year where this stuff happens? I don't know. The Ross Coldheart actually chimed in on it. He says he doesn't believe that they're drones. He says something or someone is demonstrating an ability to operate with total impunity, the absolute assurance of knowledge that they cannot be tracked or detected. They are operating craft of some kind which are far beyond the capabilities of existing known technology. So, I don't know. It's just another drone conundrum, and it'll be interesting to see how this develops over the next, weeks or months.
The big issue is let's take the alien portion out of it
Sure.
right now, because we don't know if it is extraterrestrial. We do not know if it's Russia. The intel people that I have talked to have said this is some sort of spy drone that is going on in the area right now, just to kind of cause a lot of things. And it's funny because, even going on X, where everybody is very pro UFO when it comes to these situations, it's more than half that people believe this is just a drone incursion from maybe Russia or China or somebody else at this point. But you do bring up an interesting part about the timeline, because it was a year ago when this flap kind of started in New Jersey. What doesn't make sense is Copenhagen, Denmark. Like, it just, if you were to choose a country, it's like almost like they threw a dart at a map and say, where should we put these drones next? Well, let's go right into the bottom of Scandinavia.
Well, and there was, at the same time that the Copenhagen, Denmark airport was shut down, there was also a sighting of drones in Norway on that same day, which Norway is also where those drones were sighted, is also right around the shipping lanes for the Baltic Sea. And so that kind of stuff would indicate that maybe it is, more of a foreign adversary that's trying to gain, information about shipping traffic or something to that effect. But yeah, I mean, if you take the let's say if you go the prosaic route, where they're all just drones that somebody is either trolling, let's say, the population, or there are actual like espionage attempts. It doesn't. What useful information would an adversary get from putting drones over a commercial airport? It would seem like if it was all Russia, they would be targeting almost all military installations for their drone incursions. So, and then if you go the other route and you say, well, maybe they're not all prosaic, then the idea of if you want to be seen, if you're an NHI and you want to be seen, going where the people are makes the most sense. And there's a lot of people in commercial airports. And generally a lot of people with nothing to do other than look out windows or stare at their phones. I've often speculated that the Phoenix Lights event that occurred in 1997, the reason it occurred when it did is because people were outside looking at the comet. They were already looking up for something else. And so the Phoenix Light event occurred so that it could be seen. So if you take the same mentality, and there definitely is a human element to UFO sightings, it's hard to say if, like, it's kind of like, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, does it make a noise? It's kind of the same thing. If there's no human around, are UFOs still flying around and just irritating bears and ducks and things in the woods? Or are they only visible when people are around, specifically people who maybe need to expand their awareness of the reality in which we live?
And I think that's a solid point. Not everything can be ruled out when you don't have any answers. And I think we're too quick at times to rule things out like that. Yeah. And, I think it's also the passion that people have in this subject for wanting everything to be alien. Now,
yeah,
I disagree a little bit with the theory, only because I think that if they were UFOs, hanging around an airport may not be the best place. Yes, you're going to get sighted and everything like that, but I'm thinking cities. I'm thinking, why not go over Seattle or New York or Chicago, just like the Phoenix Lights, which I,
Yeah.
I will never, ever be convinced that that wasn't something extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
Too many people.
In fact, I'm convinced that it was multiple craft. Like I sat down and looked at just one data point in the timeline data where the sighting occurred in Henderson, Nevada, and then within 30 minutes it was seen 6 hours away by car. Like, it was a great distance, but the craft is always described as kind of lumbering along. Well, to get from Henderson to where it was next sighted, it would require it to move at like 780 something miles per hour or something like that, which is not a lumbering speed. So maybe it zipped over there and then it lumbered along from there. But there was also, once it got to the Phoenix population area, there were multiple sightings across the valley at different times that would require it to be zipping around. So I think that it was probably multiple craft, almost like a parade, if you will, across the state of, Nevada, Arizona, and into Mexico. But to your point, I would agree that it seems like if you want to be seen, go to places where people are looking up. But maybe, I don't know, maybe there's an indication of, or not an indication. Maybe there's specific people. Maybe there's some sort of an intelligence to the reveal, so that specific groups of people or specific diversities of people across the world all have an opportunity to witness something and expand their understanding of reality.
We have 7 minutes before we have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. The Wizard, Josh Rutledge, here for the UFO report. I don't know if you saw this one yet, but because I know it was coming out this evening on X, where there's a bunch of ex-veterans who are really challenging a lot of the claims put forward by these UFO whistleblowers.
Mm-hmm.
The latest being Dylan Borland. And one of our former guests on this show, the average Chris, who is, you either love him or you hate him. There really is no in between. I found him to be a great interview. Well, he has dug up some information on Dylan Borland, who is one of the whistleblowers that testified at the last UFO hearings. And this one, I don't know if you've heard this. I'm just going to throw it out there because it is brand new. Okay. Where with George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell, Borland stated that he was part of a team that helped rescue. Let me just read it here for a second.
Okay.
He was saying that he was part of a rescue operation in August of 2011 with Special Forces. The problem was he wasn't the rank at the time that he says he was. And according to this, that he was student of the month for a training group back in February. And you don't go, and I don't know how military ranking works. I've never been in the military, so I apologize if I butcher this. But apparently he made it to his unit as a level 3 or a 3 level in an apprentice skill level and did another 3 months of training and then somehow found himself in the seat of an extraordinary, important search and rescue mission that the timeline isn't adding up to what Borland said. And they are really questioning whether this guy is telling the truth or not about his encounters. I mean, look, the one thing that I have learned over time and getting to know as many veterans as I possibly can during this show, and I've got the privilege to meet a number, and I know there's a number of veterans who listen and a number of veterans who take part in our chat rooms, and thank you very, very much for your service and dedication to whatever country you served for. Thank you. That being said, I also know that they really do not tolerate people who are making up stories.
Oh, yeah.
that is
Stolen valor
big,
is a thing.
yeah, the stolen valor is a big, big no-no regarding it. So now they're questioning whether or not Dylan Borland, in order to make his story seem a little bit better, is actually whether or not he's actually telling the truth. Your thoughts?
I watched the entire interview intently with Corbell and Knapp, and he does talk about that search and rescue mission, but he talks about it in the context of being a drone pilot, not as being on the actual crew that did the search and rescue. So I don't know if that, we don't have the Chris guy here who was pointing that out to be able to make a rebuttal, but I'm wondering if there's just maybe a mishearing of the information that was given. But Dylan Borland talks about his entire involvement with the Air Force was in the capacity of and that was actually my second topic to talk about. So you're going to be bringing it up, but in the capacity of an air battle manager in the Air Force, and that he went to tech schools for all of the different imaging systems that are utilized by the Air Force, where he saw, he had to review and understand pictures from everything across the board. And so basically he's a trained observer at that point. And then he was finally assigned to the 30th Intelligence Squadron, where he was an air battle manager for drone operations. So all of his Air Force career was in the capacity of drone operations. He never once indicated that he was a field operator.
Yeah, I don't know the situation. I'm just learning about this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a chance to hear the rebuttal by the veterans who were talking about this. And, it is a difficult situation, because I think with UFOs, you are dealing with a subject that is so far out there that
Mm-hmm.
many people who have worked in the dark projects or at dark bases are very much sticky on what comes out about where they worked. Because look, not everybody gets to work at Area 51. Not everybody gets to work at Wright-Patterson or Edwards Air Force Base, or you name it, 29 Palms. Not just everybody gets to work there. They're only taking the people that they feel are the best, and more importantly, that they can trust.
Yeah.
So these people, from what I have learned, take a real, sandpaper effect to those who make claims about being on these bases and being in certain areas,
Mm-hmm.
when you're dealing with people who know that base like the back of their hand, and they can't comment publicly on it because of their NDAs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very difficult. And I think this causes a lot of tension between many of these people and those who are making the claims.
It's a sensitive subject. And I don't know, again, where, this Chris guy falls in the realm of experiencers and believers, nor do I know where the other folks that may have commented on his post are. But I also think that sometimes people who have not had their own genuine experience yet, or feel like their experience is explainable as something prosaic, there's like a pit, if you will, or a hole of something missing. They're deeply entrenched in the topic, but they also find it necessary to constantly pick at the edges of whatever the story is and whoever it is bringing it forward, to look for holes in any opportunity to discredit the person. Again, not part of the conversation.
Yeah. When we return, the UFO wizard Josh Rutledge and the report after this.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right. We are clear.
I'm trying to save it all before we come back. In an unrelated topic.
Yeah.
So I don't continue to spill any beans. I heard someone. So I'm a part of a Facebook group called "Tell me you're neurodivergent without telling me you're neurodivergent," because I have ADHD. And somebody made a comment that they thought they had tinnitus until they went camping, and there was no it wasn't there. Their tinnitus wasn't present. And then when I got back home, it was present again. And so they started kind of researching it, and they think they're actually hearing the RF put off by the electric current in their house.
Oh, wow.
So what's really interesting about that is I also have a similar phenomenon, but for me, mine goes away the closer I get to ley lines. So
mine is stress related.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have stress related for sure.
Yeah.
My blood pressure goes up. I hear it more, but like right now it's constant and it's not extremely annoying, but it is there. But when I drive to the store, which there's a ley line that intersects the store up from my house. And when I drive to the store up there, the closer I get to that store, the less and less it bothers me and I can hear it.
Wow. Lucky you.
Yeah. Add that to my toolbox as the UFO wizard.
Apparently, if you massage from the bottom of your at your jawline straight down your neck, that's apparently the glands that fill up that cause a lot of the tinnitus in your ears, and you're supposed to just massage in there to get it flowing.
Yeah, and by the way, I know it's pronounced tinnitus. I just don't like to say it that way. Tinnitus.
I know. Nikki in Seattle, how are you? Good to see you. Oh, I've had tinnitus for really bad for about the last 8-9 years. I hate it.
Yeah, it really is even when I was out near Area 51, it was really bad there. I don't know why. There wasn't, but I looked it up and there's not a lot of, there are some ley lines to go through there, but they weren't close to where we were.
I bet you I know what was happening there. I bet you that was the frequency being tuned in on Shane's beard.
Probably.
And it was like a radio satellite where he was spreading out the signal.
Yeah, dispersing it.
You were getting hit there.
Probably. You're probably right.
That's what I think. Dull Chain and Gabbana, welcome to SOR chat. Andrew B, welcome. I had to put a jacket on today.
Oh yeah? It was 106 here.
When I got into my vehicle this morning to go to work, it was 35. Like a week and a half ago it was like 88 degrees here. We got 35 seconds. $25. Thank you tonight to Mel WD-40, Bigfoot Rob, Bryan, and Pam Harris for the great super chats. We greatly appreciate your love and continued support of Spaced Out Radio. And of course, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. We're coming back in 3 seconds. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We're going to get back to the UFO Wizard in just a couple of seconds, but first we want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, our archives are always free on every major podcast network and on our YouTube channel. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We have Josh Rutledge. We call him the UFO Wizard around here for the UFO Report. Right before the break, we were talking about a little bit of drama in the UFO world where many veterans are claiming that recent whistleblower Dylan Borland's resume may not be what it seems, Josh.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just the guy seems in the interview that he did with Corbell, he seems I don't know, valid, sincere. There's like at least one moment where he gets choked up talking about, the emotional take that a drone operator has. Apparently, and I didn't realize this, but it makes sense that drone operators have a high risk of suicide. One of the highest risks in the military, apparently. He talks about his time in the Air Force as being something that he loves his time in the Air Force. He talks about, though, the time that he spent as a part of a special actions program after the Air Force as not being that. And that's apparently when he learned of, the crash retrieval and all of that kind of stuff. His sighting, though, that he talked about in the hearing, that occurred while he was in the Air Force, stationed at Langley. It's interesting, in the interview with Corbell, he says that when he walked out, he was facing the NASA hangar that was on base, and the light rose from the NASA hangar. He doesn't know if it was floating above it or if it was behind it, but he said that the light rose from the NASA hangar, sat there for a little bit, and then moved towards him. And when it reached where he was, that's when he saw the triangle, the equilateral triangle craft around the light. He's like, I can't tell you if it was active camouflage or if it manifested there. He just, when he saw it, it was a light. When it got to where he was, it was a triangle. He said at one point in time, he took out his phone, and he, after, when the thing first showed up, it like caused his phone to heat up and shut down. Then he got his phone booted back up, and he tried to take a picture, and there was nothing in the picture, so he deleted it. He wished he hadn't done that because it had the date and time stamp on the photo, even if there was nothing in the photo. He talks about how when the craft zipped away, there was a smell of ozone, and he had static electricity all over his body. So I mean, I take, he many of the terms that he used, abbreviations and such, I know people could learn that stuff, but they seemed to flow from him, not forced. He didn't come across as, trying to gloat that he was a part of these things. They just seemed to be a part of his normal speech. Many times assuming that Jeremy or Knapp knew what he was talking about, and he had to back up and explain what the abbreviation was or what the definition was. Apparently, he worked within the Five Eyes, which is the alliance for 5 English-speaking countries to share intelligence information. He had top secret clearance with a polygraph. He had to go through a polygraph. I mean, he just again his Air Force career and the information he talked about while he was in the Air Force seemed genuine.
I want to believe him. I want to believe him real bad, especially his story in front of Congress that he got fired over this subject.
Yeah.
And look, I do realize that we do need to be careful because there are a lot of charlatans out there that are very much trying very hard to, bring potential false information into this field, but just because a guy works for a government agency, I mean, I think the problem where I am struggling right now, and this is on a personal level, not a journalistic level, is prior to this happening. Let's go prior to 2017 in the New York Times article.
Mm-hmm.
I remember people, whether it's, Steve Bassett, Victor Vigiani, Grant Cameron, Richard Dolan, Lorian Fenton, Melinda Leslie, doesn't matter who. Some of these, I'm going to call them old-time researchers,
Mm-hmm.
UFO researchers, not UAPers, UFO researchers. They all had pretty much the same message. If we could get one person, just one, out of the White House or out of the Pentagon, this story is going to blow wide open. Well, we got our wish, and all we are doing is cutting down these people.
Yeah. Well, I think it's 2 reasons. One, because the story that the people are giving, let's say the whistleblowers, the story the whistleblowers are giving is contradictory with some of the theories or opinions of some of those UFO researchers. And in my opinion, one of the biggest detriments to any researcher in the community is the inability to be fluid in your theory. You can't have a hard and fast theory and then ignore data that contradicts that theory. That's not science. All data is good data, especially if that data is an android on the Starship Enterprise. The other piece is, I think that it's one thing to constantly ask for validation or the truth. It's another thing to get it and then have to face the let's say community or even public of, you've been asking for this for so long, it finally came true. What does that mean for you? I think it's hard a lot of times for people to process, not just in the UFO space. This is just across the board. You ask for so long for evidence of whatever it is, water on Mars, life on Mars, and that one day when it finally gets proposed or comes forward, there's a really strong skeptical, almost cynical approach that is taken because of what it means for you as an individual to then accept personally that what you've been saying is true. I think for a lot of people in the community, I know it's true for me sometimes, even though I know the topic. Like I know this topic I'm going to be presenting on at Phoenix MUFON, inside and out. But there's still a part of me that wonders if I actually know the topic. And maybe that's my ADHD and imposter syndrome. I don't know. But I think for a lot of people, it is like you hold on to the small little kernel of, I could be wrong. I could have made it all up. I could be seeing things. I could be hearing things in the back of your mind so that you're not 100% committed to whatever it is that you're talking about, so that if it does turn out to be wrong, you have a safety net or a backup parachute to keep you from falling off the deep end.
Well, you know what? It is something that, we have to keep an eye out, because I don't think a lot of these skeptics of the whistleblowers are government disinformation agents. I think that term gets thrown out there a
Mhm.
little bit too much. I know a few of them. I've talked to them, and two out of the three I've talked to openly claim they've seen UFOs. They've
Yep.
seen some strangeness that they cannot understand. They have a vested interest in this story, but they just feel that the people who are coming out are maybe not lying, but they sure are expanding the tales of their
Mm.
careers. And what happens is we get away from the whistleblower story and we get into, well, what did you do for the Air Force, or what did you do for this department
Mhm.
or that department? And the minute they open their mouth, that gives these skeptical veterans a chance to do research on that and open it up, because they have the ability to find that information. They know where to look. And I think that's where a lot of these arguments come from, rather than just the typical skeptic out there where, oh, that guy's come out as a whistleblower. Yeah, he's full of crap. Well, have you heard him speak? No, but he's a whistleblower, so he's full of crap. And
Yep.
so there seems to be that divide about what's happening too.
Again, I think it's a matter of if if they can discredit the witness, then what the witness is saying must be also not true, right?
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, both can be true. The witness could make claims about their experience, non UFO related, that turn out to be false, but they could also make claims about their experience UFO related that turn out to be true. Both can be true without discrediting one or the other.
Let me ask you this, though, and this may be a little bit of a controversial question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Do you think the connection to Jeremy Corbell causes more strife than good for these whistleblowers? Jeremy may have a good name within the congressional uh, status of people, whether it's Burchett or Anna Paulina
Mhm.
Luna, Nancy Mace, they've all referenced him in the past. But in the UFO community, many people believe his reputation is less than stellar. I say these words as I personally have had good interaction with Jeremy.
Mhm.
He's somebody that I can respect, and I know he listens to this show. And I'm not
Yeah,
just
I have no issues with Jeremy. I think that uh, I think Jeremy is just he's passionate about the topic, and he doesn't hold back. And for some people, that abrasiveness can rub them the wrong way. But I think, I would say that his abrasiveness is probably his greatest strength, because he doesn't let no be the final word. He just keeps pushing until he gets to or uncovers the information that he's looking for. I think that because of that, um, and because of his push to want to know the quote unquote truth, that has led to whistleblowers getting in contact with him, and him being an opportunity for them to get their information in front of the right people. Um, yeah, I've never interacted with Jeremy directly. I would love to sit down and have a conversation with him one day. I can tell he's high energy. He's probably got a little ADHD going on there too, and so I can appreciate that. But I mean, I don't think the only person, in my opinion, that someone could be associated with in the UFO community and it would hurt their credibility is Richard Doty.
See, and there are people out there who would say the exact opposite, that Rick Doty is somebody who, has been there, done that, and is admitted to being a disinformation agent. So you have to take him for what it's worth.
Yeah, and that's in the end of the day, that's my opinion, right? But it's when someone had a job to lie and confuse the topic, it's really hard to trust that in retirement they aren't holding on to those old ways.
Well, we also have to remember, too, that once a CIA spy, always a CIA spy.
I mean,
even though you retire, doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you've actually stepped away from the game.
Right. Yes. I mean, I would say that that's true for anyone in any profession that you devote your life to. You get into, if you're a police officer, even though you retire as a police officer, you're constantly checking, corners and exits and things, and you're watching people in restaurants to see if they're doing something odd or weird. Even me as a, IT process improvement guy, I walk into things at my kids' school and identify process gaps where they can improve their processes. I think that anytime you do anything for long enough, it never really leaves you. Now, or if you're applying that, if you're a CIA guy and you leave the CIA, that you still, kind of hold regular checkups with the people in the CIA to pass along information. I don't know. Maybe that's true, but I would imagine once they've given you your gold watch and shuffled you out the door, they don't really want to hear from you again.
We have 4.5 minutes left. What do you have for us, my friend?
So we talked a lot about Dylan Borland and his, let's say, credibility. But I wanted to call out a couple things that he said in the interview with Corbell and George Knapp.
Perfect.
Okay. He said, and I'm going to quote this, "I have direct firsthand knowledge and exposure to crash recovery, reverse engineering, as well as the most important piece of technology on the planet. And it's not the craft themselves." That's a direct quote from his interview with Corbell and Knapp. Corbell then says, and it could be the power source. And Dylan says, you can draw that conclusion if you want to. But still, the fact that he says, my big complaint about every whistleblower up to this point with the crash retrieval and the reverse engineering is that it's all secondhand knowledge or third-hand knowledge. This is the first whistleblower who has first-hand knowledge of crash recovery and reverse engineering. I guess you could say Jake Barber had firsthand as a helicopter pilot. So this guy came forward. He shared his experience in the hearing, and he didn't really even get to talk about any of the crash retrieval stuff that he talks about in the Corbell episode. Also, it's interesting, the language that's used in the beginning of the episode indicates that it was recorded before the UAP hearing. So it was actually a few weeks even before the UAP hearing that it was recorded. And then there are quite a few elements throughout that are redacted. But if you listen to the question that's being asked before the redacted element and the information provided after, you can almost piece together what some semblance or idea of the answer that was provided. For example, he wouldn't name the agency that he worked for after the Air Force, the multi-agency special access program. But then, and they redacted that part when he named it. But then later on in the interview, George brings up BAE Systems, which is basically the British version of Lockheed. And they talk openly about BAE Systems. They even splash up on the screen. They don't draw any attention to it verbally, but they splash up on the screen a copy of his resume and it says that he worked for BAE Systems, doing photo analysis. Basically, that's a very basic explanation. But yeah, so I mean, this is if you take everything that he's saying as credible, hope for the best, plan for the worst, I guess. Then he's a guy who's very credible, trained observer, has lots of experience with technology. He has, worked within the Five Eyes system, drone operator, 30th Intelligence Squadron, worked with SEALs, etc., on missions in a drone operator capacity. Had his own experience, was basically told by his sergeant when that was the case that he shouldn't tell anybody. But when he started doing this work for BAE, and he found himself in a unique position where he was basically he had lost his clearance with BAE, but they wouldn't acknowledge him as an employee. The way he describes it is he was basically stuck for 9 months working for BAE, not able to leave and go seek work elsewhere, and also witnessing these crash retrieval information and such, to the point where he felt like he was being punished and kept in that position.
It is time for us to wrap things up. Josh, UFO Wizard, thank you for being here on Spaced Out Radio again, my friend. 15 seconds. Tell everybody where they can find your work.
Yep. You can find everything at ourmysticjourneys.com. ourmysticjourneys.com.
Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for another great report. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
The UFO Wizard, Josh Rutledge, everybody. He's a gem. As we say goodnight to Josh, and hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, buddy.
Thanks, man.
I can call you the wizard right there.
Yeah. Somebody in chat, Benno from Oz, said I was the Wizard of Woo. I like that one too.
That works too. That works too. What the hell did I talk about?
Hey, what were those dates again for the thing in May?
May 21st to 25th. We don't know where yet.
Vegas. I'm going to put it on the calendar right now.
Make sure the beard knows.
I will. He's retiring this year, so he should have all the time in the world.
Oh, good for him. Good for him. That's amazing. He made it. He made it.
All right, Dave, I'm going to call it a night.
You get going. You got to get up early to get your kids ready for school. But thank you for doing this, my friend. I'm waving here at you if you can,
Yep.
you can see that. And thank you for a great night.
Yep. Thank you. And y'all have a good night too.
All right. So for those of you wondering why I have my back towards you, it's because I have to type out the podcast format here on this other computer over here, and then it'll transfer back to that one, and then I can edit it. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I don't mean to be rude or to have you guys stare at the back of my chair. Right. For the rest of you, there. Tomorrow night on the show, Patrick Spain is going to be here. We're going to talk about Bigfoot in Sumatra. It's going to be good. I'm really tired. I'm going to edit this in the morning. But thank you to Pam Harris, Bryan, Bigfoot Rob, and Mel WD40 for the amazing super chats tonight. We greatly appreciate your love of SOR. So thank you very, very much. And we will see you guys all tomorrow night. We will. I promise you. Thank you, everybody. You have a great night. See you soon. Yeah. Good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.